Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Oldham County Fiscal Court. I'm Judge Executive David Vogel. We're happy to have you here today on the fifth day of March. I'd like to ask everyone who's able to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to please ask you to turn your cell phones to off or vibrate. And, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Magistrate Likens.
Here.
Magistrate Tice.
Here.
Magistrate Harrison. Here. Magistrate Greenwell.
Here.
Magistrate Hounds.
Here.
Magistrate Hawkins. Here. Magistrate Dye.
Here.
Magistrate Logsdon. Judge Vogel.
Here. Having 8 of the 9 members of the Fiscal Court present, this meeting is now in session. Is there a motion to accept the agenda?
Second.
Any additions? Magistrate Tice?
No.
Magistrate Likens?
Yes, sir. The Building and Maintenance Committee would like to make a few recommendations. And I guess we will put that under C or G.
All right, sure. Let's, you want to put that under Parks Committee? How about, that'd be all right? We'll make it H sub 1, Building. We'll also remove appointment to the Tourism Board. Not ready to go forward with that yet. Hearing any other statements? All right. Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now, as our custom, we have our clerk, Sheila Fair, read the minutes from our last meeting.
February 19th, 2019. The Oldham County Fiscal Court convened at a regular meeting at 2:07 p.m. with Judge Executive David Vogel, County Attorney John Carter, and the following magistrates in attendance: Brent Likens, Wayne Tice, Albert Harrison, Steve Greenwell, Chris Hounds, Stephanie Hawkins, Bob Dye, and Michael Logsdon. Motion made by Magistrate Dye, seconded by Magistrate Hounds to approve the agenda, removing KYTC Park and Ride project bid opening, which will be rebid at later date, and adding a Parks Committee recommendation. Motion carried unanimously. Approval of minutes. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to approve the meeting minutes of February 5th with the following correction to the cited exception to the Open Meetings Act, KRS 61.810G. The words "if open discussions" were omitted in the drafted minutes. The statement should read, discussions between a public agency and a representative of a business entity and discussions concerning a specific proposal, if open discussions would jeopardize the siting, retention, expansion, or upgrading of the business. Motion carried unanimously. Public comment. Kara Sanders with Hope Health Clinic presented information on the second annual Battle of the Bulls Chili Cook-Off to benefit the Hope Health Clinic, March 8th from 6:30 to 8:30 at the John Black Center. Call 225-6711 for more information. Bid opening for the sidewalks at the police station. The following sealed bids for the sidewalks at the police station were open and read aloud for the record. Messier and Associates, $25,000. Triumph Landscape, $27,572.50. Roeder Construction, $24,435. The following sealed bid for the church steeple work project was open and read aloud for the record. Messier and Associates, $22,000. The following sealed bids for the train depot windows project were open and read aloud for the record. Messier and Associates, $33,500. Tri-City Painting, $24,280. And Watts Home Center, $12,285. Bid opening for the train depot exterior painting. Bids were open and read aloud for the record. Messier and Associates, $8,500. Tri-City Painting, $7,800. Payables. Motion made by Magistrate Logsdon and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to approve the payables. Motion carried unanimously. Community business. Public hearing for the Apple Patch Pillar project closeout. A public hearing is required for grant closeout for the Apple Patch Pillar Education Adult Day Program Relocation Project to review past use of funds and program performance. Judge Vogel and Danielle Story, Director of Community and Economic Development for KIPTA, provided an overview of the project and opened the floor for public comment. There being no public comment, the public hearing was closed. Speed limit reduction. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell and seconded by Magistrate Logsdon upon the recommendation of the county engineer to approve the posted speed limit on Spear Lane be reduced from 25 miles per hour to 15. Motion carried unanimously. Contract agreements and resolutions. Greenways land donation property deed. Motion made by Magistrate Tice and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to authorize the judge executive to sign the deed of conveyances relating to 3 land parcels located off Highway 146, donated from Greenways for Oldham County. Motion carried unanimously. Resolution, Kentucky Transportation Funding. Motion made by Magistrate Logsdon and seconded by Magistrate Likens to authorize the judge executive to sign resolution number 0102-1919 relating to legislation modernizing Kentucky's transportation funding mechanisms to address transportation funding needs. Motion carried unanimously. Curry's Fork Watershed Project Grant. Motion made by Magistrate Hawkins, seconded by Magistrate Logsdon to approve the project proposal presented for a federal grant application relating to the Curry's Fork Watershed Plan. Motion carried 8-1. Magistrate Tice voted no. Parks Committee, Westport Park, Schambach Park, Riverwall Project Recommendation. Motion made by Magistrate Harrison, seconded by Magistrate Tice to engage Tetra Tech to help develop a plan for bank stabilization and possibly other services at Schambach Park. Motion carried unanimously. Personnel actions. Police Department. Motion made by Magistrate Logsdon, seconded by Magistrate Hounds to hire Christopher Box as police officer, 5-year lateral at $24.50 an hour base rate effective February 20th. Motion carried unanimously. Planning and Development Department. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell, seconded by Magistrate Hounds to hire Thomas McIntyre as Community Planner 2 at $44,000 a year effective February 20th. Motion carried unanimously. Board appointments. Tourism Board. Motion made by Magistrate Likens and seconded by Magistrate Tice to reappoint Tavia Cathcart Brown to the Tourism Commission with the term to expire February 21st, 2022. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Harrison and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to reappoint Donna Sabo to the Tourism Commission with a term to expire March 4th, 2022. Motion carried unanimously. Second public comment, none. Announcements. Magistrate Hawkins followed up to a public comment at the last meeting from an Oldham County water customer regarding her water bill. She attended the ribbon cutting for Dough Baby Donuts in LaGrange and welcomed them to Oldham County. Magistrate Harrison provided a correction for a couple of his reports from the last meeting. The Corps of Engineers has only accepted a permit application to dredge from Nugent Sand. Therefore, nothing is definite at this time. KYTC anticipates a mid-April start to the bridge reconstruction project on Highway 524 over 18 Mile Creek with approximate start dates of April 23rd and completion date around August 1st. Traffic to and from Westport will be rerouted most of the summer, and there will be plenty of signage. He thanked Andy Hall at KYTC for completing some temporary patching work on the bridge while awaiting the full bridge reconstruction. Magistrate Harrison is hosting a community meet and greet in Westport, 7 p.m. March 12th at Westport Baptist Church. Some upcoming military observance days: February 19th, birthday of Coast Guard Reserve; March 3rd, birthday of Naval Reserve; and March 4th, National Hug a GI Day. Magistrate Likens announced Kentucky Legislative Training Day in Frankfort was beneficial and that Oldham County was well represented. Judge Vogel announced the new interstate warning signs are up at 8 access points to I-71 throughout the county and anticipates the electronics will be installed and functioning within a couple weeks. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to adjourn the meeting. Motion carried unanimously, and the meeting adjourned at 3:07 p.m.
You have heard the reading of our minutes from February 19th. Are there any corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. You mentioned just a second ago the interstate warning signs. The electronics are being installed today and tomorrow. This week we'll be testing them and should hopefully have them have the system operational. We hope by the middle toward the end or the end of next week. 30 minutes ago, as I was coming back from Frankfurt, someone stopped me as I was getting on the elevator and thanked me for having those signs up. Person who doesn't have a cell phone, and it was very appreciative of the fact that we've taken that step and hopes that it will be helpful to all. So I thank the court for that. I'd like to recognize, we have a number of people here today, but someone that I'd like to recognize is one of our neighboring magistrates from Shelby County. Ross Webb is here today, and we welcome you to Oldham County. We appreciate our relationship with Shelby County, a good neighbor to the southeast, and we hope to be able to continue to work with Shelby County well in the future. So thank you for being here. It's time now for public comment. That's the time during our meeting when anyone who's not on the agenda as a regularly scheduled appearance does have an opportunity to address the fiscal court. We normally allow up to 4 minutes to discuss an issue of a community importance or sometimes just individual importance. Is there anyone here who would like to address the fiscal court at this point? All right, seeing no one, I'm going to close public comment, and I'm going to go on to the first item on the agenda, and that is a bid opening for a sidewalk project. We have a sidewalk project over in the 1793 area from Ridgeview Drive to Ridgetop Drive. The Ridgeview Homeowners Association has agreed to meet the required match for this program of $29,000. And construction funds have been authorized for use by the Transportation Cabinet. The first bid is from C3 Construction, 1315 West Main Street in Lexington, $209,447. The second bid is from Louisville Paving, $191,000. All right, those are the two bids for the project. I'll ask our County Treasurer, Melissa Horn, to take those bids. Now, at this time, we'd like to go on and to the next item on the agenda, and that's an annual presentation from the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. Tom Hall is here, along with other members from the Cabinet, and we welcome all of them. And Tom, come forward, and welcome to Oldham County Fiscal Court.
All right, thank you, Judge Vogel and members of the court. The purpose of my presentation today is to provide recommendations for the 2019 to 2020 Rural Secondary Resurfacing Program. Rural secondary roads are farm-to-market roads. They're not our major municipal roads. They're the smaller roads that are in the state network. But we one of our tasks is to, using gas tax funds, we prepare a list of roadway resurfacing projects, and our job is to get concurrence from the county court, and then we go ahead and set about paving if you guys concur. So what I'm going to do is, what I'll do is first is talk about what we did last year, let you guys know what this program did last year, and it's on the last page of the packet that we hand out that has like long sheets, looks kind of like this. The last page has a list of roadways that we did pave. The first one on there is Old Sligo Road, Kentucky 3223. That was 2.205 miles of paving. We also did a paving on Abbott Lane, Kentucky 2858, 1.023 miles of paving, and then also Fiba Lane, Kentucky 2859, and that was 0.453 miles of paving. We intended last year to pave Kentucky 1817 New Cut Road, but didn't have the funds to let that project to construction. But it is the first project on this year's paving program. So if I can get you back to the long sheet, the second page, it looks like this. We can start talking about that. Oldham County is allocated, if in the top right corner, Oldham County is allocated $733,074 for the 1920 paving program. the county can use a portion of that for paving of local roads, and this year the county elected not to do that. So all of those funds, $733,074, is used for state route paving projects on the rural secondary system. The first line item is rural secondary routine maintenance and traffic. And that money is just for standard maintenance activities that our state crews do on the state network over the year. And the total amount of that is $389,600. That does eat up a lot of the budget. And then the second line item down is county judge executive expense, and that's an administrative fee that we give to the courts for their assistance with administering the rural secondary program. And that amount, it may say, I think we reported it would be $3,862. The allocation has changed for all 120 counties. It's now $2,400, so it's slightly lower than that. So I'm just making you guys aware of that. But again, it's even across all 120 counties in Kentucky. Okay, so the next line item down is the first actual paving job, and that's a Kentucky 1817, which we didn't get to last year. And we will pave that from the bridge over Darby Creek to Oldham Road at a cost of $131,000. The second road project on the list is Kentucky 524. This is in the Westport area, and we'll be paving from Main Street north up to 5513 Highway 524. That's about a mile and a half of paving at a cost of $125,000. And if we move to the second page of the long sheet, we have another section of resurfacing that we plan to do on Kentucky 524. That's from 2601 Highway 24 to 2201 Highway 24. That's about 8/10 of a mile of paving at a cost of $65,000. And then the last item on the rural secondary paving list is a intersection paving at Kentucky 362 and Kentucky 146. They're near St. Aloysius Church, where 362 enters into Kentucky 146. The pavement's really rough there, and this job is intended to smooth out that intersection there, particularly the Kentucky 362 approaches. And that is being done at a cost of $20,000. And that really eats up the balance, and our hope is that we would get your concurrence on this paving program this year.
All right, Tom, thank you. Measure Greenwell.
We had a full road committee meeting today and didn't get around to discussing this. We had it at least 4 days prior to this for every magistrate to look at. But I see nothing wrong with what they are proposing and would make a motion to that effect to accept what they have proposed today.
Second.
Moved and seconded. We have, for the last quite a few years, accepted the KYTC recommendations.
And also have not voted to take a portion of that to use for our own purposes. Right. We know you all got enough to say grace over besides us, so you all need it as bad or worse than we do. So
I think we want to make it clear here while we're talking about this that these are rural secondary roads. They are not the primary roads in Oldham County. Would you happen to know off the top of your head what the primary schedule is?
Oh, I'd have to lean on Tony or
Tony. How about Tony Herod? Come on up, Tony.
Is it safe to say that these are 3 and 4 number roads, rural secondary?
Yes.
Okay.
Right, but of course we're looking for action on Highway 22, and I think Tony is expecting to do that.
Yeah, the easternmost portion of Highway 22 that was supposed to be done last year was number 25 on the paving list for the district, and they made it through number 24. So from Centerfield Drive to Kentucky 53 by the Marathon Station in Ballardsville was that section. And then in addition to that, the western part of 22 from the bypass to Centerfield Drive made the list. So what I did, I grouped those projects together this year, and that is a number 5 on the list for the district. So I feel pretty confident that from the Crestwood Grade School to Ballardsville will be resurfaced.
Okay, that'd be great. We need that very much.
Yeah, yeah, it's needed. It's long overdue.
We're also would like to see Highway 22 from the Jefferson County line to Crestwood. We need serious consideration given to widening that highway. It has a lot of traffic, a lot of, there's some areas in there that make you nervous passing through, and that I think would be a strongly supported road improvement in our county.
I agree.
Does anybody else have anything they'd like to ask
Judge.
these gentlemen? Magistrate Hounds.
Magistrates have said this before, but we really appreciate what you guys do. And I call you on an irregular basis and always get a response back. And I truly appreciate that, because all I'm trying to do is get information that somebody's calling and asking me. And I appreciate you taking the phone call and digging in and finding out, even if it's not an Oldham County issue like we talked about last week. But I do appreciate your help with all that.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
If the court will allow, I think Andrea Clifford has one more quick
Okay.
announcement.
Let us
We'd
take
love
our
to hear
vote,
from
and then
Andrew.
we'll do Andrea,
Oh.
okay? We've got a motion, and did we have a second to magistrate? Okay. To approve these? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Tom. Now, Andrea. This is Andrea Clifford, the most well-known face of District 5 on TV every time alert people to go buy more groceries.
Let's hope we don't have any more of that this year. Thanks for allowing me a couple of moments here. Just wanted to let everyone know that the Transportation Cabinet is hosting a public meeting on Wednesday, March the 27th, to show the proposals, the alternates for the new interchange on Interstate 71 at mile marker 20.6. That's at the Louis Dampier Bridge that was just opened a few years ago. So this would be a new interchange just prior to exit 22 at the Kentucky 53 interchange. So that meeting will be from 5 to 7 in the evening on Wednesday, March the 27th at the John W. Black Center in Buckner. It's open house format, so people can stop in anytime between 5 and 7. There's not a formal presentation, but we will have plenty of staff there from KYTC and our consultants that will be able to talk to people. We'll have displays showing the various alternates, and we'll take their input that night, or there's also comment sheets that they'll be able to take home and mail back in. This meeting will be advertised in the Oldham Era on the 14th and the 21st of the month, and there'll also be some variable message boards in that area, electronic signs that will also give some information about the meeting as well.
Tony has come back up to add something here.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you guys, on the major primary paving, 146 from the four-way stop in LaGrange to the Henry County line, look for it to be done. US 42 from the IGA and Prospect, where they brought the Jefferson County project up, to 1694, look for that to be resurfaced as well.
Okay.
So I forgot to mention.
All right, and would you have, the last I heard, as of 2 days ago, the poles for the mast arms at 53 and 146 were being built. Do you have any further information on that?
I don't have any further information. That's coming out of our traffic division, and I know you've been working with them on that, but I'm not sure about that.
And the other thing that we want to mention, as long as you're here, and I think we have mentioned this before, we mentioned it publicly, the road to Westport is going to, the bridge on the road to Westport is going to be repaired this spring, summer, and there will not be boat access to Westport on the regular way in. So we'd like to have you put some really strong markers out there, really for both directions. People come from the west and from the east. They need to know, do not turn on the 524, isn't that the number? Do not turn there, because once you go down that hill, you're going to be sorry, because we're trying to have a place for turnarounds down there. but you're not going to be able to get through the Westport. So we really need that strongly marked.
Yeah, and once that bridge is closed, it's gonna be for 100 days, so
That's
the
gonna-
detour route is around the 524, the long route.
The longer route,
Yes.
right. So
Yep.
it's just an issue that we need everyone, and there's tons and tons of boaters that go down there. So
Yes, yep,
they're all welcome, but they're going to have to take a longer ride this year.
right.
So thank you. We appreciate
you.
that
Hey,
bridge
Judge,
being worked.
before he leaves, sorry to interrupt, you just mentioned 42 is going to be paid from, where to
From
where?
the IGA to 1694. That,
Okay.
I submitted that estimate. It was, I can't remember what number it was on the list, but I would think the funding would be available for that. I think it was far enough up the list. to
The
be-
reason I'm asking is that I think there's 1.6 miles of that. It's supposed to have a third lane added to it sometime soon
Right.
in the next year or two, and it would seem to be not very prudent to pave it and then tear it up next year.
Right. I mean, I can,
Utilities,
right. I can check on that, and usually our pavement management folks in Frankfurt have a copy of the construction projects as well, and they may make adjustments and move the limits up further, and not affect that area.
thank you.
What, 1694, is that Lock Lane?
No,
Gum
that's
Street,
Sleepy Hollow Road.
Oh, Gum Street.
Gum Street.
It's way up there.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you might start further out than the IGA.
Yeah, they may, move the limits eastwardly or something and not pave back that far, like you said. If it's gonna be torn up, there's no sense putting it down and,
Start moving utilities, I think, this summer, and then start widening the road next year.
yeah,
So it'd be-
yeah. And I'll check on that. I can email our folks up there and see if they have any insight on that.
Thank you.
Tony, you talking about the IGA there at Hunter's Ridge?
Yes,
Yeah, that's going to be, he's right, that's going to be 3-lane up to Covered Bridge subdivision. So, yeah, don't put any asphalt down there, 'cause you're going to
yeah,
tear it back up.
yeah. Yeah, I'll email our folks and see if they're, I'm sure they're aware of it, but just make sure that they may remove that section.
I'm not aware of another IGA on 42, so that's
Right,
the only one I could think of.
that is
so.
correct, yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, you're right, Brent, that is the area.
Yeah.
That's something that needs to be explored. That's an excellent point. We
Right.
don't want to do and redo something.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
Measure Tice?
Is Henry County in our district or in?
Yes, yeah.
Boy, I was coming down 71 the other day and from Campbellsburg, and the road is deplorable up there. I know it's not in Oldham County. And the speed, as we've talked about so much in court here, you've had people out there working, and when I went by, I thought, my goodness, the way all the traffic was. I'm not sure I'd have the nerve to work on the side of that road.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Those guys need to be real careful, which I'm sure they already know that, but my
Right.
goodness.
yeah. Unfortunately, we're out there a lot. That's a bad section up through there.
It's actually gonna get repaved, a portion of that, of Henry County 71 gets repaved this year.
Andrea is saying a portion of 71 in Henry County gets repaved this year.
That'll slow the traffic down if those guys are gonna be working on it. Phew.
Right. We're trying to work on some things to slow people down. I mean, people are just, 80 is the new 70 or 70, whatever. It's just they're going too fast. Okay, thank
All
you,
right,
Tony.
thank you.
Appreciate everything you do. Tony is a great individual to work with, who's all the people are cooperative. I want to recognize Tom Wright, who's here today too, who he's in the chairs. He hasn't added anything to conversation. You have anything you'd like to add, Tom? No, sir, I got a good man here. Well, I know you do. I know. Well, we appreciate all of you, and thank you very much for your continued attention to Oldham County. The next item on our agenda now has to do with paying our bills, and so when you're ready, we'll accept a motion to pay the bills.
So moved.
Any discussion about anything on there? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Under item B here on the agenda is we're asking to, we're going to have, this is actually going to be the first part of what will be a two-part public hearing. Today, we're announcing this potential change, and then we'll have a public hearing at our next meeting. And this has to do with basically getting Oldham County in the HVAC business, replacing the state. Mark Tice is here, our Chief Building Inspector, to review this with the court.
Basically, this is a repeal and replace. All of our existing language isn't being changed. We're just adding in, we have applied with the state to take over the permitting and inspection of initial HVAC systems in Oldham County. And so we have to have that language reflected in the ordinance. So even though it's a repeal in place, we're just adding language. We're not changing any existing language.
Right, and this is the county seeks to regulate and govern the design, construction, quality of materials, erection, location, addition to, use or maintenance of, installation of mechanical systems in Oldham County, and provide for the issuance of permits and collection of fees thereof in compliance with Kentucky Administrative Regulation 815, subsection 8.007 to 100, and KRS 1988.650 to 689. So it's not to throw out the entire baby with the bathwater. We're just going to
We're actually just adding
we're
something.
going to change this and allow us to make changes in our ordinance here that was adopted in 1991 so that we can do our own HVAC inspection
That is correct.
through our building department. So that's the announcement. We'll post this on our website. We'll have a public hearing about it a month from now to see if anybody's interested.
One minor correction. I think this is due to our aging condition. It's hard to read. This little bitty font that they got on here. You referenced KRS 1988. I believe it's 198B. They look alike.
You're right. That B looks just like an 8.
It does, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Judge, if I can just add one thing, Mark probably didn't blow his own horn, but Mark was just recently certified to inspect the HVAC system, so that's why we're able to take it over from the state.
Right.
So congratulations to Mark for passing the
Right.
test. 'cause he did
Appreciate
have to
Mark
study.
getting that additional designation. That's making our department stronger and more able to do things. So
Provide more
thank you, Mark, for
services.
the time you put in on that. Under contract agreements and resolutions, we have one now. This is a resolution regarding Department of Local Government Recreational Trails Program Grant. Becky Zockline.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, members of the Fiscal Court. Once again, I'm bringing before the court another attempt at funding and finalizing the trail system at Wendell Park. And this would be for the trail that goes, we've been affectionately calling it the Senior Center Trail, and it would wrap around the ball fields that are at the top of Wendell Park. It would give access to the users of the Senior Center or Tri-County Community Action Agency and all of that building complex or county complex up there, use of that recreational trail. We are seeking the funds, they're federal transportation funds through the Recreational Trails Program. We did apply for this under RTP last year, and they did not, at the recommendation actually of Jody Williams with the Department of Local Government, yet they did not have enough funds to provide, and she's encouraged us to apply again. So it is a project that the state has been watching closely and is encouraging us with. So I have every hope that it will be funded again, or funded this year. It's an 80-20 match. The budget that I submitted last year was for a total project cost of $125,057 with the grant request of $90,550 and a county match with labor and equipment of $34,507.
All right. Is there a recommendation that we allow me to sign this grant application?
I make that recommendation, motion.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion about it? I'd like to add, this grant is not a replacement for another program we're looking at pursuing, a land and water conservation grant.
Correct, those are
They
two separate.
stand alone.
Yes.
The question was, Rebecca, is there an amount that you're going to request this year? Do you have an idea, a budget?
I'm pretty certain that the numbers will be about the same.
Any further questions or discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now we're going to go on to item D and talk about a utility easement for the LG&E, Oldham County Water, Morgan Conservation Park. Did you have something, Jim? Did I jump ahead of?
Oh, you're good. Nope.
Okay, you told me what we're gonna do, I just gonna put.
Great support system here.
Okay. Okay.
In your package, you have proposed utility easements for both LG&E and Oldham County Water on Morgan Conservation Park on Kentucky Highway 524. I don't know that I need to put these on the overhead or not, but you have them in your packets, and it's simply a request that you allow Judge Vogel to sign the easement so that these can be provided to the adjoining properties on the side of the Morgan Conservation Park. Let me zoom in here. In particular, this is just the electric easement, but that's the easement that's being added to provide service to the two tracks that are next to the park's entrance.
Judge, I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Matt, Mr. Carter?
Yeah, I have a question. Are you conveying an easement or right-of-way?
Easement.
Well, the document that's attached is a conveyance of a right-of-way. Right-of-way and easement are two different things.
It's just the utility easement for now.
It's just a utility easement. I'm not sure where.
Right-of-way is an interest in land, and easement is not an interest in land.
That's correct. So are you looking at
I'm looking at the actual.
oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't see that
That's what
when
they
I-
provided to us, so I didn't even catch that. I'm glad you did. It should be just an easement.
Changed to an easement instead of right-of-way.
Right. That's all it is an easement, which is, again, what's the purpose of this plat is just for an easement. So
And Judge, second paragraph, second line, it says said easement shall be maintained and reserved. So if they've used it, they've used both sayings.
They've used
or
both.
both phrases.
should be easement.
See what I'm talking about, John?
Yes, there's two places in there where it's,
It says easement, even though they say.
Utility easement,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
yeah, I know, it just needs to be,
So the issue is that the heading of the document and the line below says conveyance of right-of-way, but they
you know,
mentioned.
it says somewhere else in there it talks about a right-of-way too. And I don't remember where it does. It's an easement in the body, but at the top it says a conveyance of a right-of-way. I mean, you can go ahead and authorize
How
the
about-
judge to sign it, and we'll take care of it later.
Sure.
All right, we just need to get them to change the
Right.
heading.
I'll get with Jim and we'll get it straightened out. I didn't see that.
We're willing to allow the easement, but not the right-of-way.
Right, and the drawing shows easement, so it's only
does.
correction in that language on that.
Right.
And the motion is to grant an easement.
Right.
Motion is to grant an easement, right.
That's correct.
All right, is there any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item E, under contract agreements and resolutions, Sustainable Streams and Professional Service Agreement for Curry's Fork. We have Jim Silliman Becca Truman, all right.
Becca was actually able to rework her schedule, so she's here, and I'll let her present
Okay.
as the coordinator.
Well, thank you, Judge Vogel. So I'm here today to ask that the court approve Judge Vogel in signing a contract that we have drafted between Oldham County Fiscal Court and Sustainable Streams. We have worked, Curry's Fork has worked with Sustainable Streams in the past to help us with our stream projects and specifically doing assessments like these, as well as future projects that we'd like to look into to help us with restoration and enhancement to help protect our streams. So we're looking at doing something this year. This will be a major milestone as part of our current grant that we have with Division of Water. This will help us to fulfill that and then kind of look forward to doing future projects that are also part of our watershed plan. So I can take any questions.
Is this, these services paid for entirely by the grant?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Anybody have any question on that? No. How much do you expect these to be?
So the budget. So the total budget for this project is $23,361. And this is based on having to have a 60% matching, 60% federal budget and 40% matching. So the way the budgeting works is a little bit confusing with this. I'll kind of briefly explain it if you'd like me to. So for our total budget, we have to have 60% federal funds and 40% matching. But when it comes down to certain projects or line items within our budget, those numbers can vary a little bit as long as the total budget is that 60-40 matching. So for this project, we're looking at total of $16,100, and $2,083 of that will be contributed as time from Sustainable Streams, and that'll be put towards our non-federal 40% matching. And then that other money in there that goes towards the 40% non-federal matching is going to come from other aspects of our grant, such as volunteer time, different spaces that we have, and several components of that aren't direct dollars from the fiscal court that we can use towards receiving that 60% federal matching.
So there's no additional new fiscal court money involved.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Anybody have any questions? Magistrate Dye.
Yes. Is Sustainable Streams, are they a competitor of Red Wing? Are you familiar with Red Wing?
I'm aware of both of them. I don't have an answer specifically as far as if they're competitors. I know they both have worked with the Curry's Fork project in the past and helped us out.
Okay, so you don't know if they're monthly, or their hourly rate, I should say. They don't know if they're compatible or not, or maybe I should say, is one better for what you're wanting to do versus the other one? I'll put it that way.
Sure. Again, I'm sorry, I don't have a specific answer to that. I can look that up. I know that the rate tables that you'll see in this contract, this is the same rate table that was in the contract we had when we worked with Sustainable Streams several years ago on the Moody Lane restoration project. So those numbers have stayed the same. But again, I'm sorry, I don't know the difference between them.
My question not to reflect one's any better than the other. I'm more familiar with Red Wing, and maybe these people have worked in this particular area, and if they already have experience and background there, I don't want to pay someone else to learn what they already know.
Sure, understandable. Yeah. Sustainable Streams has worked really closely with Curry's Fork for several years. I can't give a direct comparison or say who has more experience, but I know that
would make perfect sense if they have a background there. Then I say no reason for Red Wing to relearn what Sustainable Streams knows. Okay.
Yeah, I do feel very confident in their ability to help us with this effectively.
Thank you.
And can I add, Magistrate Dye, I didn't compare the direct apples to apples with Red Wing's previous contracts we might have with them to these, but I did look at the hourly rates, and they are competitive to what I'm used to seeing.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to make sure that we weren't doing something reverse of what I thought. So anyway, I'm cool. I'm good.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Judge, Just to add to what Jim said, being in that profession, engineering surveying, those rates are not what I would call competitive. They're low, but don't tell them. But no, I don't think there's any inflation in there at all. I'm surprised they can do it for that. More
Yeah,
power to
and
them.
they are contributing, like I said, it turns out to be about 9% of the total cost of their contribution to this, to help us out to receive that matching percentage that we need.
Magistrate Tice?
Is this a study?
It's a study. We're looking at them. There's no work on the ground that's going to occur. So essentially, it is a study. We're looking at getting from them specific information that can then turn into on the ground work. So that would include reports, designs, specific examples with costs to. We're basically looking at doing a feasibility study to see how realistic it would be to then in those individual places that they're looking at do further work.
But there's no money nor time spent by Oldham County or Oldham County employees to do this project.
Correct.
I've always had a reluctance that if we do studies that there ought to be outcomes or assignments at the end that create a difference.
Yeah.
I voted for this, against this, the last time, because so many times I don't think we do the study, but don't get the work, the boots on the ground to get it all changed at the end. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your comment. I understand that point, and I think this will really help us to really target effectively spending future money that would be put on the ground, and that is the goal of this.
All right, are there any other questions? Magistrate Harrison.
Thank you. I am familiar with this area. It's been a problem area in the county for decades. My father actually did a drainage study for the Planning Commission back in the, I believe, early 70s, if not late 60s, because that creek is what floods the subdivision out there. And the problem starts downstream, I think as far downstream as the old 329 Centerfield Drive with a box culvert that's undersized. And this area gets all the backwater. And the pipes that are underneath Moody Lane coming out of the drainage in the subdivision cannot discharge into the creek when the creek is up above its banks. So something needs to be done. We've looked at this, the county has for years, and I agree with Magistrate Tice. Perhaps this study will lead to something physically being done out there. But it's a problem because you've got multiple property owners that will have to get permission to do anything physically on their property, and maybe they don't want to. So I don't know, but I applaud you for the effort, and I hope it does turn into a project we can look back on and be proud of.
Okay, yeah, thank you for your comment. I hope we can talk more about this and move forward.
Are there any additional questions on that? All right, all in favor of allowing me to, pardon? There's no motion? All right, is there a motion here?
I'll make a motion.
Anyone want to second this?
I'll second it.
All right. Moved and seconded that we enter into an agreement with Sustainable Streams LLC to complete the conceptual design for the Curry's, as part of the Curry's Fork Watershed Program. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda has to do with a Crestwood MSD agreement. And what this is an interlocal agreement is made between, proposed here between Oldham County, the City of Crestwood, the Kentucky Oldham County Environmental Authority, and the Louisville Metropolitan Sewer District. This would be for wastewater collection treatment services in Crestwood. We looked at this in the fall, and it was tabled. The time for bringing something off the table has expired, so this is a new motion.
Okay. I was going to make a motion to take it off the table.
Well, we have, 90 days from the time something's tabled to bring it off the table without the table expiring. So it has to be a new motion.
Okay. So I had this written down, so let me see what I wanted to do. I'd like to make a motion to bring the interlocal cooperation agreement by and between the County of Oldham, Kentucky, the City of Crestwood, Kentucky, the Oldham County Environmental Authority, and the Louisville and Jefferson County Metropolitan Sewer District for wastewater collection and treatment service to the floor for discussion.
Well, I'm looking for a recommendation to approve it versus bringing it to the floor for discussion. We'll discuss it after it's approved. But first we have to have a motion on the floor to approve or deny something, and then we discuss it. So you've made a motion to discuss something, but we'll do that after somebody presents a direction one way or another.
Make the
I'll
motion.
make that motion, Judge.
The reason why I did it that way is because that's how it was done in November. I was just following the lead of the utility committee before, but go ahead.
Sorry.
So I will retract my motion.
Okay. All right. We have a motion to approve it. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Moved and seconded that this agreement between MSD, Crestwood, and Oldham County, allowing MSD to enter into a discussion with the city of Crestwood to purchase the Crestwood wastewater system and operate it. That's the motion. Is there any discussion on it?
Judges, sorry.
Magistrate
Ladies
Likens.
first.
Yes, Judge, I just want to know if our county attorney has weighed in on this interlocal agreement. I don't see his signature anywhere.
Brent, I can barely hear you, and I'm sitting right here.
I'm sorry. Wanted to see if our county attorney had a chance to look at this and approve it from a legal aspect.
All right. Mr. Carter, do you have a comment?
I looked at this when it came up back in November, and this was placed, I got this in the email on Friday at 4:32 that it was going to be on the docket today. And I was out of town, so I saw it this morning. I can tell you what it is. It's a new interlocal agreement between Oldham County, Crestwood, MSD, and OSEA. It supersedes all other interlocal agreements. And it's not just for the sale of the Crestwood sewers, that's part of it. But it's an entirely new interlocal agreement.
All right. Is there any other discussion about this? I think we've been down that road before in the fall. I think everybody has had several months to look at this. Magistrate Harrison?
Thank you. Just for the sake of the public, I think everybody needs to understand that this is not part of Oldham County's sewer system. It's Crestwood's. They paid for the design, the construction, the installation, and the maintenance with MSD, and that's the system they've always had. We do not have one penny of county money invested in it. It is Crestwood's system, not ours. But because they were in our sewer district originally, we had to enter into an interlocal agreement that allowed them to go to MSD to have sewers treated. So all we're doing now is releasing them from that and saying it's okay for them to negotiate with MSD directly without county involvement. Is that correct?
Correct. That's correct.
All right, thank you.
I've mulled through, am I on? I wanted to be part of the discussion.
Magistrate Hawkins?
I'm sorry, thank you for that. I've mulled through many of these since I'm the chair of the Utilities Committee and tried to catch myself up from when these started, from what I can tell, in 1993. And like John Carter said, Mr. Carter said, this would supersede all of those. And I'm not an attorney. I personally would like to see a utilities attorney who's working on behalf of the county take a look at this and tell us if this is, it appears as though it would be great short-term for Crestwood, but because it's an agreement that involves the county and the county's involvement, and Crestwood is part of the county and pays taxes to the county as well, I'm of the opinion that I would like to see a utilities lawyer working on behalf of the county take a look at this to give me a clearer understanding of it, as well as perhaps an independent engineering firm to determine the price, if nothing else.
Manager Harrison.
Judge, thank you. I call for the question on this issue.
All right. Let's see here. When we call for the question, we stop debate. And the first thing we do is vote on whether or not we're going to stop debate. So I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Judge, can we clarify what it is and what our response is supposed to be? Is it yes?
If you vote yes, you want to stop debate. If you vote no, you want to continue to talk about it.
Okay.
Magistrate Greenwell,
No.
Magistrate Hounds,
Yes.
Magistrate Likens,
No.
Magistrate Tice,
No.
Magistrate Dye,
Yes.
Magistrate Hawkins,
No.
Magistrate Harrison,
Yes.
Judge Vogel,
Yes. I vote, motion fails. All right. We'll now move on to a vote on the matter before us. And that is allowing Crestwood to go forward with MSD. Yes, huh?
Let me make one statement, may I? That's a mischaracterization of what this is. This is a new interlocal agreement that lasts for 50 years, is what you're agreeing to. The sale of the Crestwood Sewer District to MSD is only a part of this agreement. So it supersedes all other interlocal agreements we have with the city of Crestwood and with MSD. And the term of it is 50 years, unless the parties agree to cancel it. So that's what you're voting on.
That was unsolicited comment, by the way. We've been working on this for quite some time. I think all of the magistrates have had an ample opportunity to adjust it. Crestwood has been involved as a customer of MSD for the last 25 years. So there's been absolutely no problem that Crestwood would like to move forward on its relationship with MSD. I think it's well known in the county that we are looking with, as a county government, to possibly strike an agreement with MSD on merging the Oldham County Environmental Authority with MSD. Crestwood, the customers, have paid considerably less than anybody else in Oldham County for years. For everybody to sit up here and some people act as though they've never heard of this before and to suddenly, you know, want to throw a monkey wrench into an agreement is, you know, I think ridiculous. You know, I've asked everybody where they stood on it. They all said they were in favor. Then we get to the meeting and suddenly we get yellow fever. I don't know what it is. I'm sorry, but I'm pretty disappointed in this. We all know the direction this is heading. We're in an environment here where we need to get lower rates for the customers in this county. And to hang on about what might happen 25 years from now is ridiculous. Most people are paying a bill next month, and they want a lower rate, and we all know it. We're continually asked for lower rates for Oldham County Environmental District. We can't get there under the current circumstances. The rates are heading toward $100. They're going to keep on heading higher and higher. It is not going to It is not going to slow down until we reach an economy of scale. And we have met with the Metropolitan Sewer District as a county, and are waiting for them to come back and offer us an opportunity to possibly merger. If we don't like the opportunity presented, we'll keep going forward with our higher rates. We're not afraid to say no if the circumstance is not to the benefit of the people of Oldham County. But this is to sit here and to try to gum this up and force everybody in this county to pay more and more money, and that's the direction we're going here today. If this fails, everybody in this county will continue to wind up paying more money for this service. It's ridiculous. We're attempting to work with these people. There are two people here from MSD who can answer any questions. The mayor of Crestwood's here who can answer any questions. On our OSEA arrangement, we're attempting to build in protection for the people of Oldham County so they will not be expected to pay for environmental problems in Jefferson County. We'll pay for problems in Oldham County. And I'm very disappointed right at this point that suddenly everybody wants to throw this, well, let's say a few people want to throw a monkey wrench in this, and then others who have had courage, let's say, or conviction, or assured me that they were in favor of moving forward, are suddenly, you know, asking questions. Now, Mr. Carter doesn't particularly like this idea.
Now, wait a minute, Judge. That's not true.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
may I say something?
Well,
I approved this agreement back in November. There is
why are
nothing
we talking
wrong.
about it now?
There's nothing. I didn't. There's nothing wrong with the agreement. The fiscal court needs to know what they're voting on. They're not voting just on a sale of the sewers of Crestwood to MSD. They're voting on an interlocal agreement that binds the county for the next 50 years. That's what they're voting on.
Well,
And that's all I said.
I'm not sure it binds. I'm not sure it binds the county.
Well, it says 50 years in here.
Binds us to what, Mr. Carter?
To this agreement.
What does it bind us to?
To the agreement.
To the agreement, but what's in the agreement that's bad or evil?
I didn't say there was anything in the agreement bad or evil.
We have nothing to fear but fear itself.
Wait a minute.
Discussion is off the floor.
All right. I think the question where we got off the track here is that when Magistrate Likens asked you about it, I think your response should have been, I looked at this and approved it in November. But you didn't say that. You did. That was not your response. You went in and said, well, something else. That seemed to have a negative cast to it.
Well, for one thing, I did review this in November. You know I reviewed it, and you know I approved it.
Okay.
But the thing is that what you were voting on in the motion on the floor is a mischaracterization of what it is. It is not just simply a sale of the sewer system of Crestwood to MSD. It's an interlocal agreement that binds the county for 50 years to the agreement, which I didn't find any problems with.
Judge, may I?
Yes, sir. Magistrate Dye.
There's something about this whole thing. It's got, you know, people, as the judge said, turned around somewhat. But Mayor Dybel's here, and Mayor, I'm going to use, I believe, your words. If my words are wrong, you come up and correct me, okay? He's had, Crestwood's had a 30-year relationship with MSD. Was that pretty close?
Would you consider this?
And would you say, and I'm going to, again, you put your words, and it's been a successful relationship that you've been very happy with. Now, with that being said, and everyone knows Mayor Dybel, the mayor for life, but now he's retired, but I think it's unconscionable that we can sit up here and some of the magistrates who have absolutely...
Sounds like debate.
No. I'm making a statement. It's unconscionable for other magistrates sit up here and talk about sewer rates when some of their districts have very little or no sewers in them. And people that are on the OSEA plan, you know, the numbers are approaching $100. And if that's what you like, it's okay. I have two areas in my district, $100 sewer bills is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Magistrate Dye, that's debatable.
One magistrate at a time, please.
I'm speaking. I have the floor. okay?
But we took debate
I
off the floor.
I have the floor.
We took debate off the
Magistrate
floor.
Hawkins, you're out of order.
Okay.
So maybe you don't want to vote for it, maybe you do, but for those of you that are on the OSEA plan today, if you can afford the $100, that's all well and good. But for those of you that are not on sewers and homes to be built, they're going to be on those $100 plans. Now, the agreement the judge related to between OSEA and Oldham County, MSD and OSEA, that's the time that we can step up and make a decision about how our constituents are going to have to pay. This money we're talking about, these $100 rates, that's not tax money. That's a user fee that comes out of their pocket every time the bill comes. So the decision in my mind today is I'm going to take Mayor Dybel's success story and hopefully be able to convert it at some point in time in the future for the people in my district. Now, if you don't want to be part of the success story, then that's your decision to make. But the time has come to fish or cut bait on this issue. We all know, sitting up here, that I see no reason to stand in front of Mayor Dybel's city wanting to shed themselves of this responsibility. Why do we keep trying to add one thing to the other? It's not that way. Our county attorney said it's binding us for 50 years. It's binding us to me for 50 years for his sale and nothing more. That's all I've got to say.
All right, would anybody else like to add? Magistrate Harrison.
I don't have a magisterial district map here in front of me. I'm trying to go by memory, but would every magistrate who has constituents living in the city of Crestwood raise their hand?
You do.
I'm raising my hand.
Inside the city limits. Not with the Crestwood zip code, but inside the city limits. The key individual here is Michael Logston, who represents a majority of, I'm sorry, was that a hand signal for me to be quiet? Ma'am, you were doing this. What does that mean?
What's
I'm in Lakewood Valley, and we're not, even I'm in Crestwood, but we're not on this deal.
I understand. I'll continue. Sorry.
That wasn't for you, sir. That was for my magistrate.
Thank you. Michael Logston represents the bulk of the city of Crestwood. And my concern is, who are we to sit here and make decisions that affect residents that we don't represent? Who are we to do that? Our job is to represent the county as a whole. The city is part of the county, but we really don't have a dog in that hunt. Crestwood has operated on its own for decades without us. As I said earlier, we don't have 1 cent invested in the Crestwood sewer system. So who are we to sit here and hold Dennis Dybel and the new mayor hostage and hold the city of Crestwood hostage and say, we know better than you do how your money should be spent? We're not spending our money for sewer rates, but it's okay with us if you continue to pay more. I don't think that's the right thing to do, and I don't think that's why we're up here, and I guarantee you that is not why I ran for this office. Thank you.
Magistrate Tice.
I think it takes more courage to challenge what we're seeing than it does to accept it. Sewer is a problem for everybody. My fears is that what will happen is that as Crestwood expands, and we now know that the Bob Jones has a large project down at Crestwood, that is the most easy way to collect revenue for your sewer system. There's been some discussion, wait a second, I'm not sure how much I can say as far as that is. There's been discussions for other alternatives, maybe I better say it that way, that as we go through, that it is important that we make the right decision. If we pass this and it goes the wrong way, it could be a kiss of death for the Oldham County Sewer District. If we do the right thing, then it could be good for all of Oldham County, and that's what I'm concerned with. Although it may not be a dog in my fight, I'm here to represent the whole county as well as the people in District 2. So with that being said, that's my view on it.
Well, Magistrate, I'm not sure your comments made sense. If you do the right thing or the wrong thing, would you tell us what the right thing is? Is the right thing to keep paying a higher utility rate? Is that the right thing to do? Are you really concerned about the rates 50 years from now?
No, I'm concerned what's going on now.
Okay, well, what's going on now is a lower rate in the city of Crestwood, considerably lower rate, roughly, I may be wrong, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's about $30 a month cheaper in the city of Crestwood than the average OSEA customer pays.
Well, has MSD agreed to acquire the Oldham County Sewer District?
No, we're discussing it. This is a two-step process.
Does it have to be a
Crestwood-
two-step process, or can it be a one-step process?
Well, I don't think it's ever, I guess it theoretically could be a one-step process, but Crestwood is paying $25,000 a month right now, as I understand it, waiting for this to be approved, City of Crestwood. Am I correct on that, Mayor? 48. Would you come forward? So we have viewers who are going to look at this, and we have to have everyone's comments on tape.
Thank you, Judge and court members. Right now, Crestwood is paying an additional $48,000 per month. $32,000 of that is a surcharge paid by the ratepayers, $16,000 per month paid out of the city budget. This is the same ILA that all of the court members except two saw in November that Mr. Carter approved. That ILA was reviewed by an outside attorney, Magistrate Hawkins, Ms. Carol Pettit. The court at that time decided while they were doing it, it was better to go ahead and compile all of the ILAs. The one between Crestwood and MSD, the one between MSD and OSEA, the one between MSD, Crestwood, and OSEA, and Fiscal Court. Excuse me. Fiscal Court, I think, was in there. That's the reason that you have the different document. This court approved the original ILA last July. It had to be changed, and that's when the court rescinded that so that all of these documents could be put together. But the bottom line is it's been reviewed by the court back in November when it was tabled. It was been reviewed by the county attorney, and it's been reviewed by an outside attorney at the request of the court. And we were given the go-ahead to do so. This document has been signed by City of Crestwood. It has been signed by Metropolitan Sewer District. It has been signed by Oldham County Environmental Authority. The last leg is for Fiscal Court. And if that's signed, then that gives us in Crestwood the option, the right to go ahead and dispose of our sewer system, and it opens the door for many other opportunities for Oldham County. So,
Anybody have a question? Magistrate Greenwell.
Thank you, Judge. Dennis, you said that it was reviewed by an outside attorney at the request of Fiscal Court?
at the request of someone on the county level. I know Stan Clark said that Carol Pettit reviewed that document.
And we paid to have that done?
Right. There was a time when we were looking at things, and the MSD attorney and the OSEA attorney, they were in the same firm. So we thought it was good to have someone who wasn't in that firm review it from the OSEA point of view.
Okay.
So I've forgotten what it was $1,600. Magistrate Harrison.
Thank you, Judge. can't stop calling you Mayor Dibble. You're Mayor Emeritus
Mayor
Dibble.
Emeritus.
Does this ILA and the transfer of assets or sale of the Crestwood sewer system to MSD, when it occurs, does it have any effect on Oldham County?
No, sir.
Not at all,
No, sir.
because there's no connection.
That's correct.
It only affects your ratepayers in the city of Crestwood.
That is exactly correct.
Their rates go down
Yes,
dramatically.
yes.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to ask?
I do.
Question, Magistrate Likens?
Thank you. I think I might have started all this, but is this the same document that I have in front of me, the same one that we tabled several months ago?
In November.
Exactly the same
Yes.
wording, has not been revised.
Correct.
And so the original one was approved by Mr. Carter. I've seen court cases that have been decided on a staple versus a paper clip. That's a true case. So if one little word in this thing that I got in front of me is different from what he approved, and that's what I'm uncomfortable with, is that our county attorney has not reviewed this document that I'm voting on today.
Okay, may I respond?
Yes, sir.
He should have reviewed that document in November, the one that you tabled. We were in a meeting a month ago, and he had a document and was reading something from it, and that's when I said, you don't have the correct document. I gave him that document, and he made a copy of it. I said, this is the updated document. So Mr. Carter has had that since the first meeting in February the 5th. He has had that same document, which is the same one from November.
Well, every other resolution that we have come up here has a little paper in front of it that says reviewed and approved as to form and legality by county attorney. That's not in my package today.
That's on your level, not mine. I can tell you though, this is the document that you reviewed in November and tabled. Mr. Carter had it in November, and he's had it since February 5th.
I have one thing. I just have.
Excuse me. Judge, I guess you need to pick somebody to start.
All right, who wants to?
Mayor Dibble, I just wanted to say that I approved this in November, and had it been given to me before the day's meeting, I would have approved it again. But there's only 3 pages in this whole agreement that have to do with the sale of Crestwood Sewers to MSD. And that's pages 4, 5, and 6. The rest of it has to do with the interlocal agreement between Oldham County, Crestwood, MSD, and OSEA. And at the end of the document, it says that if this agreement is ever terminated, that MSD will retain the sewers in Crestwood. So the sale of the sewers in Crestwood is only a part of this agreement. And that's what I was trying to clarify for fiscal court, that this is not just a straight out sale of sewers, of Crestwood sewers to MSD. It's a brand new interlocal agreement which includes the sale of the sewers of Crestwood to MSD.
You're correct. It's a culmination of where there were 4 to 5, I don't remember how many, different interlocal agreements. The county wanted to put all of those in one document to supersede the other ones. They say the same thing, but they're just in one document. And it so happens that it includes the ability for Crestwood to sell their sewer system.
Right, okay. I want to correct one thing Mr. Carter said. You may have seen this today, but it was in your inbox Friday. So that's, let's be correct. We send you all of the material for the agenda 4 days before the meeting. If you don't have an opportunity to look at it, I don't think you should try to infer that
I'm
the
not
blame is on us.
inferring anything, Judge. You're the one that seems to have a problem. I'm just saying the normal course of things is I get these on my desk for approval. I approved this in November, and I find it strange that it was emailed to me at 4:32 p.m. on Friday, and I got it, and I looked at it, and it's fine. I don't know
It's
what, I don't know
coming
what the
back up.
problem
I
is.
mean, okay, I mean, do we have to resub every time? You know, this is the same document that was there before. Now, you know, I think this document has been approved. So it just can't be brought off the table because the amount of time, you know, if this had come up the next week or at the next meeting, somebody said, I want to take this off the table. I don't think anybody said, well, I don't see any approval on this. We said it has been approved. It just couldn't come off the table because we try to follow Robert's Rules of Order here, and the Robert's Rules require a tabled item to come up within 90 days of the day it was tabled, and we're a few days beyond that. So that's the only thing about it. So it has been approved, and I don't think, you know, if every jot and tittle has to be re-inspected every time, then I think we're going to be in trouble on a lot of things, because we assume that the next month, the first reading, is it going to be the same for the second reading as it was for the first? You know, we assume it is, yeah. So, somebody else, I saw a hand, Magistrate Greenwell.
Judge, if there's any, I mean, if only 3 pages of this agreement relate to the sale of sewers of Crestwood, is there any reason why we're asking questions? It's a multi-page document, but yet only 3 pages has to do with the sale of sewers of Crestwood, and so we're asking questions, and I don't think that's out of line.
I don't say it's out of line. I'm just saying that everyone is knowing for 90 days that this was coming back up. So now is kind of late in the game to get all exercised about something that everybody's knowing was coming down the track. Everybody's had this before. It wasn't, you know, it's not a surprise. I mean, it's been out there. And we all knew that we were going to try to have this resolved by the first meeting in March. That's what, you know, we said back in, I believe, November. And then it went to January, then it went to February, then it went to March. So here we are. I think the real question here is, are we going to tackle this issue about what it costs to have sewer service in Oldham County? I mean, granted, people say, well, do we want our sewer system taken over by a larger entity? Is that going to basically change some aspect of our county? Crestwood's been operating with MSD for 25 to 30 years. Nobody complained about it prior. The Oldham, what do you call it, Louisville Water is in Oldham County. Henry County is in water. LaGrange Utilities operates in the city of LaGrange. We have multiple utilities operating in this county, LG&E, KU, maybe somebody I can't think of right this second. I think our job here is to strive for the lowest cost that we can put in for our people in these services, and not just for next week, but for the long term. Mayor Dybel is satisfied that he has been with this organization for the long term, has been treated in a way that has given him confidence, not just for a year or two, but for 25 to 30 years. Through multiple leaders within that organization, he has successfully, time after time, felt that the city of Crestwood and its sewer system was treated fairly and appropriately. So when this came up, we said maybe we should look at this for Oldham County. We're all concerned about the rates that we're paying. The rates that Oldham County sewer people, OCF customers pay are not directly the fault of any one circumstance. We're not saying Veolia is overcharging. We're just saying that circumstances are such that these service cannot be extended without the ratepayers, 6,200 ratepayers, I believe we have, incurring more expense to expand that service. We have a pipe that's been talked about running between a location in Pee Wee Valley down to what we call the South Oldham Regional Center, a new thing that was built. Well, that's I believe about a $6 million thing that if that is forced to be built, everybody in Oldham County who's on the OSEA system is going to wind up paying another $6 or $7 a month just to have that one pipe run. This is an expensive proposition to operate this. MSD has expressed interest in trying to work with our entire county. Why? Because they need as many customers paying their bill as they can to spread the cost of the service over a lot of people. But we are working with them to put circumstances into our agreement that will protect Oldham County people from the news you read in the Courier-Journal about aging systems or problems in Jefferson County. The word we would use is firewall to prevent us from, we don't want to pay for Jefferson County's old problems. The MSD people have said they understand that and are working to help us, and we'll work with them to prevent that from happening. We'll pay for the problems in Oldham County, but we don't want to pay for problems in other counties. We expect to have circumstances like that in an agreement if we reach an agreement with MSD. Crestwood has been working a long time with MSD. For those who have known nothing about this in the last 90 days, to suddenly get all exercised over something we've all been working with for a long time is just not right. I think you have to trust the mayor, trust the other of us among here who have tried to look at this. We don't want our Oldham County customers paying more than they have to. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, the person who spoke to me at the elevator when I got out in the elevator an hour or two ago said, I don't have a cell phone. You know, there are actually people in this county that $10 or $20 or $15 a month, $25 a month, has a cumulative impact on what they have, to spend. We're not all sitting here with a lot of money in our checking accounts, and $100 a month doesn't mean anything. It all means something. And so this was a two-step process. The mayor has said, hey, my ratepayers in Crestwood are getting nicked for $48,000 a month. He told us that several months ago. Could you please, let us go forward with what we want to do to reduce our rate? They're going to have, I think, $10 surcharge coming off, aren't they?
It could be from $10 to $100, depending on the amount of water used.
Amount of water you use, yeah. We're right. So he wants to get his rate down for his people. I would like to see all of our Oldham County customers have lower rates as well. And if we have an agreement with MSD, we will build in circumstances that protect our people for the long haul. And MSD is a well-run, great organization, despite what you read in the Courier-Journal. The Courier-Journal, we all know, puts a negative slant on everything. Come on. Anybody that's ever been involved with the Courier-Journal knows that it didn't come out quite the way they thought it did when they had the interview. It's just the nature of the thing, unfortunately. The accent goes on the negative rather than on the positive. Like they say, 100 planes land at the airport, no story. One crashes, front page. So you can do a great job 364 days a year. If something happens on the last day, bang. So that's beside the point. So,
can I ask a question?
Yeah, please take it over.
Are you telling us today that MSD, and would they confirm that, are in negotiations with Oldham County Water, not Oldham County Water, Environmental Agency, Sewer District, that they're in conversations with them now?
Yeah, well, I'll confirm that we have met with MSD and asked them to take a look at the OSEA system, which they're involved in their due diligence. And We expect them to take it apart, understand it very well, come back to OSEA and the others of us here, the rest of us really, and say, here's what we will be able to do in relation to Oldham County Environmental Authority be merging into MSD. At that point, we can look at that and say, we think it's great, let's go forward. Or we can say, no, we don't think we can accept those terms, just like anything else. I can't divulge anything about that at this point because I don't know. The ball is totally in MSD's court. They are looking at the system. They getting to understand it as well as they can. And once they have something, then they will present it to us, and OSEA will take a look at it. But we're stuck here. You know, we're having a hard time getting lower rates for our customers through our currently existing circumstance. And I don't really see where it's ever going to come about. We're going to be ahead of MSD for a long, long time.
Could I ask for a short recess?
The cost of the rate.
Could I ask for a short recess?
Pleasure of the court, yes. All right. Anybody?
5 minutes, 10 minutes? Okay.
All right. All right, let's take a 5-minute recess and 5 to 7, okay?